Good evening, everyone. It's Tom Sydney Bushnell, aka Numbers, here from Psych Club and from the Tom Numbers Show. And I've got JANINE Morigeu with me. JANINE, how are you?
Good and busy, but good. Yeah.
Good to see you. Yeah, you've got a lot on, so it's great to have you on the show. I wanted to, we spoke in the week because President Trump did a video, a brief. He did a few, but he did a particular one, a brief video message. Let's have a look at that. I got some numbers on it, and you might have had a look at some cards, but maybe we could look fresh and see, bring in what you've already got from it and what I've got with the numbers, and see if we've got a coherent understanding of what President Trump was saying to us. So yeah, let's pull cards, but any comments on it that you got at the time?
Yeah, at the time, because I've looked at it a few times, I mainly got that same message from the last one. Remember when he brought those cards forward and everyone was so disappointed? But then his speech came out and it seemed like he was really taking charge, and he named all of the areas he was cleaning up, and he was talking like he is, which we know, I mean, people watching videos like this, they know who's who and who's doing what. So I feel like he was doing a bit of that again, where he was really claiming his position, because he was very authoritative again. And this has been a theme lately, and where he's getting really hard on things. So he's talking about things that he's going to clean up or he's already cleaning up. So it's really interesting because he acts like he's busy, working a lot harder. And of course, he points out what the crew isn't doing. So what they're how they're not looking into the Ohio situation, how they're not caring about the environment, how they're not caring about the United States citizens, but they're running off to the with big buckets full of cashola.
Yes.
Not a dime going to, or any help going to areas of concern in the U.S., in particular Ohio, after that derailment. So and he was talking about how he's going there and how FEMA got in line right after he announced he was going there. I believe he was trying to show that he's absolutely the chief for them to do that, and not to do it on the behalf of the crew.
Yes. Yeah. Did you have some cards on that you wanted to put? It looks like you've got some.
Let's do that again. So I'm getting 2 yeses around what I just said.
On that, yeah.
I don't even think you got to look further when you get 2 aces in a row. That's crazy. So yes, that's at least part of what he was. I'm sure there was more to it. Maybe you'll get into some more, but I think that what I said there was yes.
You know, something's come to mind while you've been saying that, JANINE, and so Ohio comes to 47, which comes to John, comes to France. It's atomic number for silver as well, 47. We know that President Trump's middle name is John, so it's Donald John Trump 185, which is, you talked about NFTs, a non-fungible token is 185. But something else that's come to mind, so you pulled the 2 aces. So ace is 9. So it's a small value word, but it's a powerful one, ace. And you've got 2, which makes 18. Now 18 comes to the letter R, and on the posts, on the boards, R is referred to as someone, and a lot of people believe that R is referred to, makes reference to Junior. Now, because we've just done that read, I'm wondering, was John there with President Trump in the background, or even maybe in disguise at that Ohio, when President Trump went to Ohio? Was John there with him?
Well, that's interesting. They wanted to signal that he was with that bald guy wearing, and this is not, so a whole bunch of people wrote me and said, oh, the bald guy is the mayor or something. It's like, no, I'm not talking about the chubby bald guy or the big fat bald guy. I'm not talking about that bald guy. I'm talking about, there's a really tall, slim bald guy who was security for Trump. And that guy has been seen on other videos and footage right by Trump, and people were commenting way back then, this is years ago, that he was JFK Jr. And this guy, whoever this is, had a very clear, you could see certain shots of him where he absolutely had, you could see a whole facial mask on, and you could see where it ended on the neck. It was fascinating. And so again, I think they might have been signaling JFK Jr., but not, then when I read on it, didn't look like it was literally him.
Okay.
It looked like they wanted to signal him. And then here's something I'm kind of breaking on your show here. Since then, since then, so I looked into, was that Donald Trump? And I got, yes, it was. Now, here's what's interesting. A lot of people got really close-ups and said it was almost really blatantly obvious that it was not the original Donald Trump. But what I'm getting and putting together and piecing together is that the way the cards read, I think it was Donald Trump wearing a mask to look like one of his doubles.
That's brilliant.
Because he was in danger. And here's what the card reading said. It said he really wanted to go, but there was a viable danger around the situation. Because look at how up close and personal he got.
Yeah.
But he dressed like one of his doubles. So he didn't wear any tie, and he was wearing the hat low.
Yeah.
And I think he was wearing a facial mask and body stuffing to look more like that one bigger double of his.
Okay.
That dresses like that. So I actually think that was Donald Trump dressing like one of his doubles, so he wouldn't be so targeted.
Wow, that's brilliant. Double. President Trump's talked about that before, about doubles and triples, and so yeah, I didn't see that. So I think the guy you're talking about is John Galt. They call him as John Galt. Like, he was there when Melania and President Trump on inauguration day in 2017. He's kind of got that long arm and hand. And so I didn't know that he was at the Ohio bit. I didn't see any footage of that. I just saw that basically when President Trump's the back to him with the cap, and he's talking and shaking hands with people. So that's very interesting. So both of them, both the originals were there, but in disguise, one disguised as John Galt. Oh no, you said that it wasn't him. It was signaling that it was him, but then you got that it was really Donald Trump, real Donald Trump.
Yep.
With a mask to make him look like one of his doubles. That's so cool. That's really cool. That's really interesting. That's brilliant. Okay, get this. So this is something I've got here. You know what? That's probably this. Okay, so this is what I got. One of the codes I got on this was where are we? Where is it? Where did that go? I got it here because there was a lot on this one. So look, here we go. Here we go. Where is that? Bear with me a second. Okay, so this is what I got. So during that bit when I guess it went out on Truth Social and all the other, channels, and so he said, now we're going to complete the mission. So I got a few things on this. So if you do the numbers on now we're going to complete the mission, it comes to 410. But he says the word we're, which has an apostrophe. So if you do, the apostrophe comes to 133. Which actually comes to the word simulation, which is interesting because I think all of this bigger, everything's this beautiful simulation, this game that we're in. But if you do 410 plus 133, it comes to 543. And 543 comes to 369. They're the Tesla numbers, but that leaves you the remaining number, I should say, of 174. Now 174 comes to currency exchange, which is the very first marker that President Trump and Melania had when they came down the escalator. But it also comes to his Twitter handle, real Donald Trump, is 174. Now, you've said in the reading that real Donald Trump was there, pretending to be one of the other Trumps.
Yeah.
And then if you take it further, if you do 245, which is my full name, Thomas Sidney Bushnell, which also comes to currency exchange, interestingly enough, and Donald Trump 138 is revaluation. Real revaluation is 174, which is real Donald Trump. It leaves you with the remaining value of 298. 298 is the value of the ZIM bond. So back in the day when people were getting the ZIM bonds, $1 trillion, sorry, $100 trillion, it comes to 298. So 298, $100 trillion plus 245 currency exchange comes to this figure of 543, which comes to now we're going to complete the mission with the apostrophe, which comes to 369, the Tesla numbers, plus 174, which is real Donald Trump, which is also currency exchange. So I'm wondering if there's, let's pull it a bit, I wonder if there's anything else around the revaluation that you might see with any of that coding, bearing in mind that Ohio is 47, which is atomic silver.
Well, we know that the revaluation, or at least I've been getting for years, that was something that the deep state absolutely wants to quell or stop, or has wanted. So that's something they do not want out. They do not want that to happen. And this card here says that's all about to change. So in the past, they've been able to, like, there was a couple of different times it was supposed to happen and didn't happen, maybe even more than a couple. Okay, it's been hard to roll out because of that, because of this, a whole lot of adverse pushback from the bad guys. Okay, here's the near future. So it's in sight. I feel like a lot of their holdups have been removed. A lot of their, what was holding it all up has been removed. So that's good to know. And it might have even on some level already started, because this card's, something's already started here.
Can we look at it further? What do we, I think we've maybe touched a little bit on this in the past, but so President Trump has put a few things through under the Biden administration, President Trump's commander-in-chief, etc. And, you know, so we know that there are certain things that happened that in hindsight looked like it was more advantageous to let it go through on the Biden watch. Are we going to see things like crashes and revaluations? Well, let's say the first part, a crash under a Biden administration, or would we see maybe even a revaluation under Biden administration? It doesn't make sense to me just at my kind of 3D logical working things out, but I'm open to whatever possibilities the White Hats have got, you know, under their hats.
So it's a controlled crash.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's been dying a long, slow death for a really long time.
Yeah.
So it feels like that's in the middle. It's been a controlled crash. So that's a soft yes.
Okay.
So when you use the word crash, I feel like it won't be as dramatic as people think.
Okay.
There's always seems to be a softer energy to it with that card there, where they've got something else and they literally just replace one thing for the other.
Okay.
And so that makes it a lot easier to digest. So a lot of us, we've been talking, we don't know, is it going to be some big dramatic event where people are throwing themselves out the windows because the whole market crash? No, I think they've been creating this to be a slow, this is really slow and methodical letting go of something. Inevitable, mind you. So there's no turning back from that card. It's going there. But there's, see that sunrise? There's something positive right at the very end that I feel like creates it to be a little softer landing than a full-on everybody loses everything. You know what I mean? I think this is more for the really big elites to lose, not for everyday people. There might be some, you know, unavoidable things that are frustrating. I always get fives around it, which are temporary setbacks for the rest of us, but nothing like what's going to happen to if you're a cult member or you've been hoarding billions of dollars and you're somehow associated, or that's associated with the kind of things these bad guys have been doing to get that kind of money. right? So if you're a huge, like a royal family and you got hordes of properties and those are the people that are going to go down in that, not regular folks. Something will replace it and give it a little softer landing. Not to say it won't be frustrating. It will be, but nothing like what they're going to experience.
Yeah, that's nice to know, because I've been feeling that. I'm like, it just feels like, yeah, and that would be working with the whole transition to greatness as well. President Trump says the transition to greatness. Transition to greatness is 282, 88 miles per hour. That's me, Tom Bushnell, plus Mark Atwood. We're both 141. Both quantum leaps. But yeah, that kind of makes more sense, because all of this has been a gradual. There's been shocks and surprises, but it's been a gradual. It's been like, even when we went into spring of 2020, we were given fair warning, really. It was like, right, you've got a couple of weeks to get ready because it's going to happen. Oh, it is here. And then, and everything went on, but they've given us fair warning, all along the way.
Yeah.
So that does make sense. I've got a question about it. Well, actually, we'll do that part a little later. People always like to know some of the celebrity things that popped up. That's always people always enjoy that. That's always fun. Yeah. Actually, let's ask this question. So you talked about well-off people, rich people. So it might have even been on yours. It was on someone's Telegram, but there was a notification that came up, said that Mark Wahlberg has just sold his property, his mansion, for many, many, many millions below the market value. Now, I've always liked Mark Wahlberg, and I've always said perhaps maybe it was a good one, but I don't know. Can we have a look at Mark Wahlberg? Has he just been forced to sell because he was naughty or bad, or was he good? And is he inside? What's the deal with Mark Wahlberg?
It was some kind of judgment that made him do that.
Okay.
That's handed down a judgment in the past.
Okay.
And there's the judgment card by the White Hats. So Trump and the White Hats.
Okay.
So that he was handed that. So he needed to do that.
Okay.
He's being careful and being cautious doing it. So in other words, he's listening to what he was told, is what that looks like to me.
Okay.
And I feel like he's been compromised in the past and could even suffer down the road here, maybe not right away, a really big consequence of how he was compromised.
That's a shame. Okay. I've got a question. I'm going to see how we can phrase this. So we'll call it Operation Warp Speed, because we know what that is. Operation Warp Speed comes from military operation, but it's to do with the product. I've got a direct question about this. So we've talked, you and me, I've done shows with Mark. We've discussed about the things of NPCs, about humans, about reptilians, and everyone else kind of in between. Is Operation Warp Speed taking out people that are reptiles, that are non-human? And I don't mean all reptiles. I think there are some good reptiles, but are people that are just kind of suddenly going that we think are human, is there a big percentage of them that are reptilian?
I don't know about a big percent, because that's a soft yes, but
okay.
Some of that is true.
Okay.
Some of that is true, and some of it's random, where they just got the booby trapped.
Okay.
Okay, so there might be some of that going in that direction, but there's also random situations. So you're going to have perfectly not, like, just people that somehow agreed to have that experience, I guess, soulfully this lifetime. And then you're going to have some controlled taking out. Okay. So it's a kind of both.
So it's a blend. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Can we have a look at that as well, on what's the latest in terms of how many are actual humans and how many are other beings here on the Earth? What kind? Do we have a percentage on that? Whether they're NPCs or reptilian or other off-worlders?
So there's definitely a yes to what you're saying, a soft yes with that card. So there's a blend of human, reptilians, various different species, I guess, NPCs. Is it NPCs? Is that
Yeah,
the right?
NPCs, non-player characters, yeah.
Right, got it. Okay, and see that 8 there?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and just people that chose not to be present during this. Okay, so a lot of people have already left, more than I think they're telling you with that card there. Okay, that's a 5 in the past, so that can be like a 50% in the past. And this is a facade card. So it's there's some kind of a facade going on. 50%. Oh, I see what that is. Okay. I feel like, and I've got this before, I feel like the numbers have been rigged. So the numbers of humans in the first place. So a lot of who appears to be different races or different NPCs or whatever, they exaggerated the number of humans on top of everything else.
Okay.
So we're not actually dealing with the numbers that they're saying there is, right? There's a big understanding and wake up call around how they've rigged the numbers. I wonder if some of those, they planted NPCs in some areas to make it look like there's more people on the earth plane or something, or like they're trying to rig the numbers. They put them in the system just to rig the numbers, right? Because, that'll play into their agenda because they've been thinking about this for thousands of years. That'll put them in line for the agenda that we're overpopulated, which we know isn't the case, and that we're ruining the earth with our overpopulation. It's causing global issues with well, they used to call it global warming, but now they just call it, what do they call it? A change in it, but they don't say the word warming. Climate change. Now, isn't that interesting? Because it's been proven that it isn't warming. They step away from that. Okay.
Yeah.
If you've been in Canada for our winters, you'd know it was getting colder, not warmer.
Yeah. You said, Janine, a couple of minutes ago with the card you pulled in your right hand, and you said that a lot of people that just didn't participate. Do you mean that they don't participate in this? They're on the earth, but they're not participating in what, this whole global narrative? Are they just kind of fillers or just living their own thing on the earth? Is that what I just wanted to get clarification on what you mean by that?
Yeah. So a soft and a hard yes. Yep.
Okay.
And yep. So there's more to it with that card, but it's definitely yes.
Okay.
And maybe those NPCs really are truly, they don't fit in a way because they aren't participating, like what you're saying. They're not really involved. Maybe you can't even call them sleepers, or they don't have the ability to understand what's going on. Maybe they're just living their life like as if nothing happened. I actually think I know some people that do that. They have no concept of what you're talking about when you try to tell them weird shit, excuse my language, but weird stuff's going on. And they're like, and then they just carry on. They don't even want to talk about it. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Interesting. Also in that message that President Trump gave, he talked about, he said that people had surrendered. I'm just going to ask, I'm not going to say a name, but I'm thinking of someone, well, 2 people in particular. Have they surrendered? Just the question, have they surrendered?
The people you're thinking of?
Yeah.
Okay, that looks like there's still some fight with those people that you're thinking. And that's not necessarily looking at a yes here. That looks more like there's still some work to do for them to surrender.
Okay.
And judgment, but they do look close to needing to.
Okay.
but they're fighting for their life maybe, or fighting to stay relevant, or
yes. Can we
they
look at
will
maybe
go.
a
That's in
that?
the
Sorry.
outcome. That's in the outcome. So they will surrender, but not yet.
Okay, good. Can I ask, can you see anything on a time frame from that in terms of their surrender? Yeah, please. Yeah, those couple.
Interesting. We've got the Hermit here, which is often the 9th month, or the number 9 comes to mind, obviously, with the Hermit, because it is a number 9. But then we've got this 4. So, and the other way you could read that is I would attribute that to, so I'm going to say spring. Okay, so we've got the spring card, and we might even have April 9th going on here, because this is my April card, and this is 9. This card makes it fast, and then if this was a timing card, it would be 9, so the 9th month, so September. But this was first, and I feel like this is too fast to be the 9th of September. So maybe the 4th month, the 9th day. We could be getting real specifics here.
That would be good. And when you said that, first of all, what came to my mind when you said 9th month, I automatically thought of November as the old system, because September, we've got September being the 7th, 9th month, but in Sept is 7, Oct 10th month, but is 8th, and Nov is 9, and that's what just came to mind. And then when you said 4, because when you do 9, 4, 94 actually equals the word November. So maybe we're looking at November or maybe April.
Wow. Okay.
So that would be interesting. Yeah, and there's a lot of significance with November and time travel and all that. Okay, thank you. Okay. Another celebrity question that I popped into my head. We've talked about reptiles. I met Bono of U2 about 20 plus years ago. I met him randomly in Covent Garden. And the young Bono, when he used to sing like his life depended on it, I thought was incredible. And then when he'd be kind of part of the corporate mechanism and hanging out with Bill Gates and Apple and all the rest of it, it's quite obvious kind of where Bono is. When I met him, and it was probably at least 20 years ago, I must admit his face was really kind of very aged and quite stone-like, maybe scaly-like. Just, I was surprised at how drastically old he looked. Has Bono been replaced? So the young, effervescent, full of chutzpah and excitement for life when they first hit the scene, and now the thing that he's become with the shaded glasses and all the rest of it. Has there been a couple of Bonos?
Yep.
Yeah.
Funny you should. Yeah. So long gone, the real one.
Okay.
Slowly but surely they got rid of that guy. And then this is the Magician, which would be, it's all a movie. So whoever you're looking at, I don't know about reptilian with that one. It doesn't really, to me, that doesn't go reptilian. We might see a different card for that, but a badly aspected star maybe or something, or even the 7 of Cups might come up. But this card is movie. So maybe he's been replaced and he's being used. Maybe he's being used, even if it's just to push the bad agenda or let you know that these guys are on the bad side by the things they're doing. Okay, when we look back, we'll have all these examples of what these guys are doing, like which ones pushed the, and which ones, the products, and which ones didn't, and which ones showed up at. Remember how I think it was Bono was at the presidential speech recently.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he?
Tendency going on there, and that State of the Union speech. He was in the crowd What is that telling you? So he was among the thieves and fakers.
Yeah. Can we look at the original Bono? Because you said that guy's long gone. Was he good and was offered something, then they took him out because he wouldn't accept, or did he just get corrupted and then he, I don't know, met his maker anyway?
I wonder what kind of a family he came from. Whoops, that feels like he came from, so how he came up in the world might have been connected in the cult.
Right.
So I wonder, does anyone know really? Because of course they can tell you all kinds of stories. They make up entire lives of people.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like he was compromised, but maybe from a young age.
Okay.
And so that might have even been how he got into the biz in the first place.
Yeah.
There's an ultimatum card, so he was given an ultimatum. And yeah, he dragged his feet on what he was asked to do, even though he was maybe indoctrined from a young age. He didn't like it. So I think you're onto something there. That's maybe why they replaced him.
So did he, so can we look, the very original Bono that we're talking about now in this read, is he going to witness protection then? Is he still alive in another plane or another disguise?
A family friend, or even one of his parents or an older sibling or something, maybe even an uncle or something, brought him into the cult, by the way. So that's interesting. And it was worrisome. He didn't like what he was being asked to do. So it's kind of repeating the story here.
Yeah.
Interesting. So we've got, hang on, some soft yeses to your question. So did you lead with the idea that you kind of described maybe he got taken into witness protection?
Yeah, I'm wondering, did that young guy that didn't want to do this, did they, did the white hats take him out, protect him? Has he been,
We got two soft yeses. So I'm thinking yes, but maybe it's more complicated than that.
Okay.
So that's interesting. We've got, maybe they used him. So what I'm getting is, so they took him out, but then he was utilized for the good. I don't know, doing what? Maybe not just in hiding.
So when you say they, who took him out? The good guys or the bad guys?
No, it looks like the good guys. Yeah, so he comes from this. Hang on. And he's got, so we've got independent. This is independent and free.
Yeah.
It would be like for freedom. So I don't know about the white hats, because this would be more alliance. So maybe there was a group that was independent, or even back then called something else, because that might have been quite a while ago.
Okay.
Well, it's not directly related, but this could be good off-worlder or other dimensionals working for the freedom of humanity. So I think it's more complicated than literally it was the white hats or it was the black hats.
Okay.
I think there's more groups that are at play that are working for the good and the bad in various different degrees.
So an off-world or some other group that we maybe is not heavily present in our mind, but had a good intention and got him out, and then started to utilize him back in the system again.
And maybe they even developed into what we now know as the Alliance. Right. Because we know that the Alliance, or at least it seems like the Alliance, is very much some other extraterrestrial, right? Because we don't know, is it a flat Earth with a dome, or do we have a shape to it like a donut, or what do we got, right? So when I say that, I mean, I'm not sure if in the galaxy, because I don't know what that looks like, but I'll just say entities that aren't originating on Earth.
Okay. Actually, that's a good point. You brought the flat Earth question. Let's have a look at that, because I saw that on your Telegram this week, that video that went around with the pilots being interviewed, and they said, oh no, it's definitely flat. Can we have a look at that? Because I know in the past we've thought maybe it's in between, maybe a toroidal sphere, but sometimes it's kind of spherical, but maybe flat. Any more detail on that? Because that's that's such a fascinating question. Like, what is it? Are we on a huge thing? Is it just a dome with a little circular part, and then it's a huge flat plane, or way bigger than we could possibly imagine? What is it?
So there's a lot more Earth than we only know a part of it.
Okay.
So we're this guy's physically left out of a whole lot of it, not allowed to travel. So the part about there's a lot more to it. So the world, even if it is a globe, is different, and there's way more Earth to it than we're told, or we're allowed to know about. Okay, that's the start of that. And then this card, which is truth and things coming out. So this is all going to come out, it says, and it's not one or the other. So I get it's definitely not just flat, and it's definitely not just round, spinning and all that. Both those things look wrong. I feel like there's way more to it. There's more and more coming out about it. I've got that before. It's neither exactly. And this is interesting, how you visualize it.
Yeah.
Yes, is a big part of it. We are like, how do you want it to be? All right. You have the wish, like this card says, you're part of, and you help create and co-create what your world looks like. So let's add our magic to that. People forgot that we're actually creators and very creative. We're made in the image of the creator, because we're also a creator. We're a part of that creator.
Yeah, you know that makes so much sense.
We're not less than, or some little, there's this thing above us and we're like a creative part of what we call creation and source. We're part of it. All of us together makes it.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I've been thinking for years, if it's like the quantum effect. So, is it a particle or is it a wave? It's like when you observe it, that's what brings it into reality. So that's bang on. And I thought in terms of like what people expect after they die, whether they go to a heaven or a hell or a utopia or nothing, I think they get what they kind of believe, really. That's what it feels like,
Yeah.
Wow, that's it. So we can literally create what we want. There's a film. So Christopher Nolan is one of my favorite directors. He did Tenet, he did the Batman movies, he did Inception, and he's a white hat director. He has a film coming out this year called Oppenheimer. It's about the scientists to do with the nuclear bomb, basically. And I watched the trailer of that, and there's some interesting bits that they've highlighted, and they talk about a few things, but then kind of final bit that they mention is anyone going to tell the truth of what's really going on? I'm like, oh wow, what a great question, what a great punchline in the trailer. So I think there will be littered with lots of goodies and Easter eggs and reveals, maybe in plain, but maybe in hidden sight, partly in the film as well. So Oppenheimer also comes to 124, comes to New Jersey. The Statue of Liberty is in New Jersey. President Trump's golf course is in New Jersey. That was owned by the John DeLorean, who had the DeLorean car from Back to the Future. There's a whole bunch of comms with New Jersey. It's also Compassion. The 124 is Compassion. So can we look at that film and see what we're going to see? That comes out in the summer, so I'm excited to watch it. But the question that it raises in the trailer, it says, is anyone going to tell the truth about what's really going on? And that's something that I think all of us would really like to know. How are we going to, are we going to see and know the complete truth of everything that's actually going on? Because there's so many layers to all of this.
Okay, that film was definitely made with a whole bunch of signaling and comms to the movie,
Yeah.
to the fact that a lot of what we're doing in the last 3 years in particular, but I think throughout our lives, we've been watching things that are manipulated.
Yes.
And very specifically in the last 3 years, and because they're, I think, trying to show us or want to point back at something.
Yeah.
As a whole bunch of things went down in the background, and then they're going to need to explain that. And they're going to need to do it to a bunch of people that have been brainwashed. Okay, so I feel like they're been doing their own like movie. Okay,
Yeah.
the good guys, to be able to point at things and go, see that there? That's an example of a psyop. That right there, we did that. That wasn't what you thought it was. I think they're going to utilize all of that also to explain why a lot of the really high up dark hats or black hats or whatever you want to call them have been taken out. So if you need to explain that, like, how are you going to explain that to somebody who hasn't been watching videos like this or looking into anything alternative? How are you going to explain why, you know, the what they're doing possibly south of the spa south of Florida? Let's say it like that. You could to stay safe. Okay, how are you going to explain what's been supposedly going on? And I believe that has been going on. That's what I get in the cards all the time. Right from the get-go, I got that stuff's real.
Yes.
Okay, so that's been going on, right? So they're going to need a way to explain it in retrospect, and also to out these guys and explain why did they. So they knew, but how do they explain to normies why these guys needed to be taken out? They're going to have a hard time explaining it. So they present the movie, and then they show you how they did the movie. I think they're going to show us how they did the movie. Some of it anyway.
Nice.
Yeah.
That would be great. Actually, talking of that, can we look at this further? So I've been saying for ages that Christopher Nolan's a white hat, and we've done reads on it. And his numbers actually come to 195, which come to one of the power numbers, 19.5, that I do with Juan, and Move the Mountain in terms of like faith, creating your own reality is 195. But I felt, because Christopher Nolan is a big film buff, and he's a great movie director, but he loves the whole process of film, i.e. celluloid. He makes his things on IMAX celluloid. You know, he in London at Waterloo, that screen, he makes his films for that film, for that screen. It's like kind of unique. It makes the picture way bigger and everything. Has he been involved in things like the recording of evidence with the spa and other spa locations around the world, i.e. on celluloid?
Okay, we don't get to know that just yet.
Okay.
That's a secret, and that's wait, we'll become enlightened. It's not time to know that secret yet.
Okay. That's probably more than enough. Yeah. And is Christopher Nolan, is he off-worlder? Is he hybrid?
I get yes, and this is interesting. Something hidden. So I wonder if he was hidden in his family as a hybrid a long time ago. I wonder if they place certain children. Like, I get what I'm getting here is his physical birth child self got taken and they replaced it with him. Like a more advanced version of himself. Wow. And he got hidden in his family, which I believe might have happened to Trump too. Like, I think they kind of planted Trump. Like, we know that his mom and dad are, well, it looks like they're not his real mom and dad. That might even be literally known. I don't know, but I got that they weren't. I got he was placed there, and he's a hybrid. So I got a feeling maybe the same thing happened here.
Yeah.
Wow.
That makes sense, because he's got, so when you see POTUS, you got real Donald Trump and POTUS, and I think there's another third one, and there's a whole bunch of other doubles and or triples, but that in the film Tenet, which was the one they did on time reversal back in 2020, it was the only real major movie just after, spring of 2020, but that got put up. So everyone saw it. I saw it about 12, 13 times. It's a masterpiece. But there was an intro to it, like a kind of director's intro to the film. And they've got Christopher Nolan doing a Donald Trump point. And they don't look even too dissimilar because they've both got the blonde locks. They don't look identical, but there's some resemblances there. And he's got the director's coat, and it's, President Trump wears that dark long overcoat sometimes, but he's doing the Trump point and he even says in his film Inception, he says that positive emotion trumps negative emotion every time. There's all these Easter eggs throughout Christopher Nolan's films. He did a film with David Bowie, who's in Witness Protection.
Yeah,
I know that from someone directly told me that, but I figured that out. And he's playing Nikola Tesla. And in that film, in The Prestige, they show the whole possibility of doubles, of clones, of all kinds of other realities in this thing of magic. No one's been doing that. Is there any of this hybridness? Is Nolan and Trump somehow connected through their off-world genetics? Are they? Because it's interesting you say both of them. It feels like they're they're both hybrids. Are they hybrid genes from the same place?
Wow. Interesting. I think you might be onto something there. So that's my Trump card.
Yeah.
And there's Nolan. Now, interesting, like this isn't a major arcana, but this could be an older, because strength card's been around longer. So Nolan's group might be around longer, but there's a lot of similarities in color with these.
Yeah.
And since cards aren't just built to, exactly answer something like what you're saying, you have to use your noggin, right? That's part of being a really good card reader. You have to look past just the visuals, but these two cards have very similar colors, right? You got the so I feel like a yes, but this could be an older civilization.
What's the title of the Trump card there, Janine, please?
The King of Wands.
King of Wands.
He always gets that card. And then this is Strength, which is a major arcana, which is an 8. And the Strength card is about patience and perseverance and doing something, finally gaining something from many, many, many years and attempts at. You finally get it right. And there's a sense of grace to it because you learned the hard way something. There's another way to look at the card. You learned something the hard way. So it's a trophy card. In a way, you earn this. So if you're talking about it as a culture, it feels like a culture that's been around for a really long time, been involved in a lot of wars, been involved in a lot of, whatever it is they do. Is it in the galactics or we don't know exactly. Okay. But this card here, it's strong and powerful and more up and coming, but this one's been around longer. But there's a similarity. So maybe they're similar, but this one's an older version of this one.
Wow. You said, so Strength, in the video that we referenced it with President Trump this week, he talked about strength and he said peace through strength. Let me pull up what I got on that. And I looked at Strength because Strong is 93, which is Flotus. It's Olympic. It's Bushnell. It's my last name. But I looked at Strength. I was like, what's Strength? So Strength is 111, which is perfection. It's illusion. You got the magic card there. It's also I am Trump is 111. It's also the Kennedy, which is 111. It's also the Genesis, which is 111, because Genesis, the beginning. But then if you do King of Wands, so just did the numbers on that, that's 123. 1, 2, 3 is Abraham Lincoln. 1, 2, 3 is Eric Trump. 1, 2, 3 is silver plus gold, because silver is 85, gold is 38. But 1, 2, 3, also you can get, let me get this correct here. Yeah, so if you do 80, so the word Trump is 88, but if you spell 88, 74, which is gematria, which is tarot, 8 is 49, which is yes. And so I think it's appropriate to say tarot, yes, tarot gematria, yes, because it's Janine and Tom doing the show. But that comes to 123, which is 88. So King of Wands, literally in the numbers, comes to 123, which is 88. And you said that's the Trump card. That's the one you always get for Trump, which is amazing. So when President Trump said about King, yeah, when he said peace through strength, peace through strength. There it is. That actually comes to my channel, the Tom Numbers Show. It comes to 1997, which is a reference in Terminator 2. Terminator 2 talks about August 29th. That's 241st day of the year. 241 is President John F. Kennedy. And in Christopher Nolan's last film, Tenet, they talked about the plutonium 241, and they kept referencing it. So there's a whole bunch of codes in that. Wow, I can't wait to see Oppenheimer and see what that is. What do you see in terms of, so I asked you a couple of days ago, you said look out for April 1st. You felt something with that. President Trump's been referencing in terms of April footballs. What have you got on that? Or maybe we can look at the cards freshly and see what we think about that.
Well, it's definitely looking like a breakthrough of some kind. Could have even happened between now and then.
Okay.
Okay. And this is our alliance card. So something that the alliance seems to be in charge of, some kind of breakthrough with something the alliance has been working on. Well, we don't know exactly, obviously, because this card was in the past. That's why I got the idea they've been working on some. So they're working on something and they expect to break through before or by then. Before or by then. So there's some kind of breakthrough, and it's been something worked on for a really long time by these guys. So I think of these, in these kind of questions, this card will come up for the alliance. Yeah. And then here we've got this. Again, working on something they've been working on, something they've been trying to, and it could even have something to do with the money system, because this is Pentacles and built on a firm foundation. So maybe bringing out the new system, bringing out, RV resetting, like more officially, I don't know, but they've been working on something and it has to do with finance. And it could be shocking to a lot of people with that card. So, because if you knew nothing about the potential of a reset on, say, currencies, or you knew absolutely nothing about the potential of debt forgiveness to some degree, like I don't know if it'll be exactly rolled out like Jasara Nasara, those words, because there's a lot of set things that have to happen with Jasara Nasara, but I think it'll be a version of a better world financially for regular folks, let's just say.
Yeah.
Something like that's coming. I really see that. And I see it always in the cards. In long time or long view card readings around finances. Yeah, it'll look bad for a while when everything crashes because they got to crash the old system, but they got something else that's going to really come up, and it's already been created. And they've been working on it for a long time, and it will make things a lot better in the long run. So everything, even if you lose temporarily, you're going to gain in the big picture. So you got to stay sort of grounded and trusting.
Yeah. In terms of that, I'll ask this part first. What do you see, well, in the cards and in your intuition? What is the purpose of us being here? What is the answer to the question? Why? Because there's the thought that we've reincarnated to come and experienced this, that, you know, we were at higher levels before. And there's a lot of effort that's gone into this, you know, in the 3D mechanics, there's a lot of effort, you know, all the moving and to and froing, the military doing everything, but then there's all these other dimensions. What is the purpose? Is it to experience the joy of ascension? Is that the ultimate why we agreed to this?
You bet.
Okay, good.
To evolve. Yeah. Okay. It's a soul wish to evolve. So they love evolution, like they love to evolve. Okay, working on it. So each of us individually came here for different particular reasons, and we've got all kinds of things we're working on. You like what you're working on, Tom, is maybe different than what I'm working on. Like, because I got, you know, things I'm really good at, and then things I'm really bad at, you know what I mean? Like everybody. Yeah. Right. So I know what I'm working on, and we come here, I think, and work on our stuff. That's the only way I can explain what I've been doing. And the more I get, you know, to know myself, the more I see that the real work is just to love yourself for just who you are. Yeah. And then all that working on yourself stops when you truly just accept. But you can think you do, but then layers and layers of ego will come up. Like I thought I had that all handled, but then I had a daughter, and in her earlier life, she had some eating disorder stuff like lots of young women go through. And it brought up the fact that I never really fully accepted my figure, even when I was her age, you know, in my 20s, and it was like as good as perfect as it could get for anybody. Like you know, you're at your prime in these earlier years, and you're still hard on yourself. Say mean things in your head, and you know, like I don't know about everybody else out there, but certainly a big issue across the board for a lot of women. But I think men experience it too. But anyway, just putting ourselves down in our head, and then you have children, and they reflect some of your lessons. You know, I don't know if this is answering your question, but like children are just a part of, I mean, yes, they're their own entity too. So they're their whole own thing that you have nothing to do with. But as far as what they have to do with you, they're reflecting parts of you that you're still working on. You thought you had it all figured out, but then your daughter brings up and pushes some buttons that you need to work on. And so you have to love that part of yourself all over again, then help her through it. That's what makes good parents. We don't just, you know, do what was done to us. We do better. So to heal some of those things, you try to help your child that's reflecting something that maybe you hid from yourself that you were working on. That's what I think. It's very layered and psychological and incredibly intricate, but it's fascinating. Like I'm always watching and going, ooh, what was I learning from that? Yeah.
Is it a right assumption or understanding that we were at a higher level before we came here, or were we maybe on a lower level before we came here, and we've just been ascending, you know, sequentially, or did we do the whole, you know, we were here, then we fell to earth, and then we're going to ascend and we're going to evolve? Because, you know, you use that word evolve, and so I'm wondering what was our starting position before we came to earth, or started on earth, or however we label it or describe it.
I think we might have forgot that we already are that, and we got to get back to what we already are. So we have to get back to, so we go through all those levels of understanding who we actually were to start with. I think that's interesting, but that's what it looks like. We started here. Yeah. And maybe we forget, and then we have to remember again.
And so I think crux of it.
Yeah, it's like becoming conscious, living in a conscious way. And I think the more you are conscious in one lifetime, you could come in and remember more and more. And that's why some of those old souls seem to know already. Like even you meet children that seem to know that this is the wheel we're on. You know what I mean? And they're reflecting that because they remember. My daughter remembered a lot of her lifetimes, and she would talk about it even when she was just little.
Yeah. You know what you say, conscious and becoming conscious. So going back to the Oppenheimer piece we did, Oppenheimer is 124, which is compassion. But also they've included these three numbers, and I guess we'll get told what they are in the film, but I don't know if you can see that. there are three numbers there: 7, 21, 23, and you add those together, and that comes to 51, which is great. It also comes to Batman. I mean, that looked very similar to, the kind of motifs and designs he's used for his Batman films. But if you do them all together, if you do Oppenheimer plus 7, plus 21, plus 23, it comes to 175, which is consciousness.
Wow.
And it also comes to Diana Francis Spencer. And it's so interesting as well that you say about that Christopher Nolan's galactic ancestry is older than President Trump's, because the numbers on this. So Diana, maybe we could look at that in the cards. So Diana Francis Spencer is 175, which is Oppenheimer plus 7, plus 21, plus 23. Consciousness, that's 175. Then you jump up a factor of 10. Well, you add 10 and you go to 185, which is Donald John Trump. Then you add 10 again and you go to Christopher Nolan, which is 195. I'm wondering if that is even pointing out to us the sequence of how long those three particular beings have been around. Are they showing us Diana's the youngest, Trump's the next one, and Christopher Nolan, his race has been around even longer?
Well, it says there is signaling in that, but maybe not what you're saying there, or it's not time to know exactly that.
Okay.
That's funny when that happens. Okay, so this is saying there's something we're missing to be able to understand what's really being said there.
Okay.
So once that hidden, see this one sword, that's a piece of information, comes up to the top here.
Yeah.
It's hidden deep in our unconscious.
Okay.
And it's also whatever's going on, it looks like it's trying to trigger things hidden deep in our unconscious. So I feel like even that movie is trying to trigger things hidden deep down in your unconscious. So they're planting, but not in a bad way, because this feels really positive towards humanity with those cards, 3 across the board. This is a really good card here in the middle. It's like they're planting information that will help you in your conscious awakening. That's what that movie's going to have a bunch of comms for. They could be doing it on subconscious levels.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they are, and that's what Nolan's works like. It's like a kaleidoscope of information. I think kaleidoscope. I need to check. That might be 124 as well. I need to check that. Have you got any thoughts on China and Taiwan? Because President Trump mentioned that again recently. He said a while ago that that's going to be next. Are we close to that?
And he's saying the war thing, like when he was.
Yeah, so he mentioned it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he talked about World War III.
Yeah.
And I think that will be something else. But he talked about, we're as close as we've ever been to World War III. But then I think in another speech on that same day, that I think he brought out maybe a couple or around the same dates, he did mention Taiwan and China. Might have even just been in an address as opposed to when he's in the, in Mar-a-Lago giving those comms. But I've heard him recently talk about and just drop in again about the China-Taiwan thing.
I wonder if China-Taiwan is more to do with something. This is swift and fast and direct. And this is be about the money system again with that part, financial changes. Yeah. Okay, something coming out. And in the middle, so how it would appear would be, we'd pick it up as signalings to a potential kind of war where the war might start. But this is unnecessary fear. So that I don't think that's what he was actually getting at. I think it'll end up being the beginning of where the financial changes are made initially.
Okay.
Something gets rolled out from there. Like it feels like a start point, something to do with the financial situation that's going to change everything. So, but we'll think it's war related, obviously.
Right. Is there a connection there with the Chinese elders, like the dragon families, and this whole thing with China and Taiwan? Because, and the media will tell you, China is going to be this, that, and the other, but we know there's another good side to, there's the alternate side, the good side to China.
So I got a soft yes here. And we've got the 7, so the 7 of Pentacles. So they're involved for sure, but not maybe the only thing involved, because this could be there's way more to it with that, and timing, and they might even be involved in the timing part. Okay, so that's interesting. And then we've got this and this card. So there could be a really big event happen that coincides with that financial situation we're picking up around China and Taiwan. And it could also ignite and or start the good military stepping out.
Right.
But I'm going to have to say 1 or 2 more questions here because I got to get rolling.
Yes. So back early in 2020, I was, hearing about revaluation, Chinese families, currencies, all the rest of it. And I came across and people will know this, but there's a fund called the Spiritual White Boy Fund. And it's out there, and it seems to be one of these massive sovereign wealth funds that's kind of hidden from the public view, but you can look it up, and it's got how many zeros, I don't know, but it's just colossal. It's just massive. So I've done the numbers on this, and it's Spiritual White Boy Fund, and I believe it's connected with the Chinese elders. But if you do the numbers on spiritual, so spiritual is 125, which is dark to light, which is John Kennedy. Time travel, inversion, all not bad inversion, but inversion in terms of how the White Hats were using time travel in the movie Tenet, etc. But if you do Spiritual White Boy Fund, comes to 277, which comes to quantum financial system. So I'm wondering, is there a direct link between Spiritual White Boy Fund? You could even take it further. The Spiritual White Boy Fund comes to 310, which comes to the quantum financial system. There's a Bible reference, Malachi 3:10. It talks about the windows of heaven pouring out a blessing upon the people that they haven't got enough room to receive it. Windows is quantum 107, Trump's 107, currency 107. So I'm wondering, is the Spiritual White Boy Fund real, and is it connected heavily to the quantum financial system?
It's definitely connected to a system that's here to give abundance to regular folks. So the shift of wealth.
Okay.
And then we've got, so good for the humans. So these are 3 right across the board saying for a large amount of regular folks, good for us. Good for the regular folks. It'll be about receiving. So it connects to receptivity. She receives. She visualizes and receives. You have to be ready to receive, though. So I feel like if you're still in scarcity and denial that you can have abundance, it'll be harder for you to receive. I feel like that's something to work on. And I felt I've been working on that my whole life and gotten really, really good at it now, being open to, because I realized that if what we call money's just an energy exchange. So if it's in the right hands and not in the demonic hands that are all about hoarding and like almost make it the object of their desire instead of the desire to do good and let everybody do good at the same time by utilizing what you can do with the money. Okay, in other words, sharing it and using it properly. That's good. That's how things are going to change. So the energy use of what we call money, okay, is just it's just a way to describe an energy exchange. Right? We could decide in the future that it won't look like actual currency or money. We could decide energy exchange is work done, or we could go back to an exchange system, or we could make a whole new exchange system with something totally different. That'll be up to us in the future. But anyway, I feel like we're going to put it in perspective, which I think the people we've been fighting in this spiritual situation we've been in, I won't say the W word that goes with it, the 3-letter word, but that situation we've been in is to change the dynamic. So we're going to take back our earth, say no to slavery and say no to debt slavery, okay? And take back, and then we're going to be the ones with the power and have to create, what are we going to do with it now? And how are we going to use this?
Yeah, very much so. And talking of the 310, so people say, oh, I don't say enough bad numbers. It's not. This isn't a bad number, but it's a book. The Creature from Jekyll Island basically describes the monetary system that we've been enslaved in. So it's worth to read, but that comes with 310. Ed Griffin wrote that, and teaches you about fractional reserve banking. But the reverse of that, and his was an expose on it. So he was trying to get Jasara and Nasara from his descriptions. But 310 is the quantum financial system, and it's also the spiritual white boy fund. And when you were talking then, Janine, our friend Mark Atwood popped into my head, and I'll give him a shout out here because I think he's a real great example of what you've described about abundance and sharing and energy flow. And I just think he's doing a great job in terms of teaching people financial abundance, and he lives it, he preaches it, and he walks his talk. So hat off to you, Mark. And me and Janine will be there with you in Manchester and Ireland. Janine, how can people the other thing you said about the W word, I'll mention this before we go into conclusion. So I think it's okay to say it, but world war. World is first, 72, which is money. War is 42. Is also new. And it's also a nice reversal of the 24-hour clock. So it's 24, 42. And they say in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy that is 42 the answer to the universe, But one way to see World War, and even if you do World War III, 3 is 56, healing, light. So it could be new money, healing, new money, light. Also, new money or World War is 114, which is frequency, which is sovereign, which is history, which is dove language. We've spoken a bit about the doves in past shows, and healing. So maybe it's dove language healing is World War III. Maybe that's what President Trump's alluding to. That's the good side of all of this. So it might be a scare thing, but we don't get to that, hopefully. How can people find you, Janine? I think I noticed you've got a Rumble channel now, have you?
Well, Beyond Mystic Rumble channel. So I'm attached to that channel, and I do a quick poll on Tuesdays. I believe it's 2 Eastern.
So you've not got your own Rumble either. I know about the one with John Claude, but you've not got your own Rumble.
Well, no, there's a whole lot of people put
there's
all my
a whole bunch of pretenders out there pretending to be.
It's not me. Yeah, I don't have.
I thought, Janine's got a, and then I was like, oh no, it's okay.
Guy put up a lot of our old right up until we got taken down. He probably still has that Rumble channel. So that's probably what they're talking about. So there is a legit one, that Guy who used to produce all the stuff and did the background and even got me into doing YouTube. So shout out to Guy. He was awesome and really good technical guy. Anyway, and very creative person. He put up all of our videos on a Rumble. Also on Bitch, as far as I know. So, but I don't know if that's still up there because I haven't looked at it for ages. But that might be what we're talking about. But we wouldn't have anything new on there. That would just have ended right when we got taken down. But the TBJ, and you have to do the long form of that.com. That would be my website. You can find me on Beyond Mystic Rumble. On Thursdays, we do a really great show at 4 Eastern that's free, and also a quick pick where it's about a half an hour to 20 minutes, half an hour, where I do a couple of different questions that are kind of pressing for that week, maybe. Yeah. And that's once a week. That's on Tuesdays.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Guy is 53. Janine is 53 in terms of the numbers. Added together, there's 106 red pilling, platinum. So that's awesome.
Yeah, he helped red pill me for sure. Yeah.
Sorry, Janine, say again.
Guy helped this fellow I'm talking about. He helped red pill me for sure. Yeah. A lot of people would remember him from back in the day when I first started.
I do remember. Yeah, I remember seeing you and him. Yeah. I remember you saying that about him red pilling you as well.
He totally read. Yeah. He subtly did it. He did it right in front of everybody.
Janine plus Guy is red pilling 106. That's brilliant. That's awesome. Good. All right. Thanks, Janine. It's been a pleasure as always. And good luck over the next few weeks with everything. And we'll see you in Ireland in April. I think Manchester's sold out. The links will be below. But if you want to come and see Janine, Mark and myself and others, will be at the gala dinner event in Ireland. on the 19th. So there's tickets still available for that if you want to come and see us.
Wonderful. Right. Okay.
Thanks, Janine. God bless.
Yep.
See you soon. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.